Chelsea are through to the final.
To be fair, not a lot of
Everyone, most persons wrote Chelsea off.
not a lot of Chelsea, even Chelsea fans expected them to be in the finals because the first game against Los Angeles they won by 2-0. They lost their second game against Flamingo, and that was a wake-up call to them. A lot of persons were complaining, this team is not good enough. Look at the players you are buying, yada yada yada, this and that. And I think that was a turning point for the manager where he knew that he had to improve on this side. He had to make a lot of changes. He had to make sure that his team could compete at that level. And from them, they switched.
Welcome back to the channel, football fans. It's Yimzy here, and I'm back here with Kygo. Kygo, don't tell.
I tell you.
My club World Cup, the hot too.
Bro, the tournament has been elite. I'm never going to lie to you. We've seen, some really crazy results, some upsets, and it's still happening. It's still coming.
And before the World Cup started, and when it started, the teams that didn't qualify for the tournament were downplaying the tournament, saying things like
till now they're still doing it.
Yeah, saying things like it's just a friendly tournament, a preseason tournament, and they totally rubbish the whole tournament. But it's been an absolute, like, a top tier tournament.
I think they're just jealous. I honestly, from what I'm seeing, from the reactions online, from the upsets and the shocking results we've seen so far, it's been an amazing tournament. Yeah, the time zone and the time schedule has not been favorable to most people in different parts of the world. But then again, I think the FIFA has tried to make sure that some of the games now are being played where people in other time zones can actually enjoy the sport. Like, see the game yesterday that was played in a very decent time. In America it was 3 p.m. In other parts of the world it's around 7 to 8 p.m. or thereabout, and it's a fair one. I think it's a very fair one. But so far so good. The tournament has been exceptional. We've seen shocking results. We've seen big teams who expect to be at this stage of the tournament get knocked out. You get me? So it has been a very good tournament. I'm not even going to lie to you.
Yeah, from the timing, FIFA has found a balance. Some of the games were late in the night and some in the daytime. But even though when it's earlier for us here, it's hot over there, and they've tried to find a balance. Well, I think they've done a great job. At the start of the season, we saw teams like Inter Miami. So even the Saudi clubs, they turned up. So
Al Hilal, we saw how Al Hilal got knocked out by Fluminense, who of course Chelsea beat just yesterday, 2-0. I love it. I saying, Chelsea in the semi-final, they beat. These guys qualified to this stage. They beat whoever was in front of them.
Exactly.
If it was that easy, Bayern would have been here, Man City would have been here, Atletico Madrid would have been here, Inter Milan would have been here. But these teams, Chelsea beat those persons as well. So I mean, you can only beat what's in front of you. Chelsea are in the final for a reason, and nobody can downplay them.
Al Hilal knocked out Manchester City, and Al Hilal were knocked out by Fluminense, right? Yeah, so they've just been looking for ways to downplay the tournament. They actually started by counting attendance. Counting attendance, everybody counting attendance, and at some point they got tired of counting the attendance. But let's talk about the teams. I love the Brazilian teams. They've always turned up at the Club World Cup, even though they've lacked that edge over the European teams, that technicality, class players. I think the individual brilliance has stood out. I think most of the individual talents are stacked in the European teams, and that has been an edge for the.
I feel like one of the reasons why the Brazilian league, the South American league is just a little below the European league is because of the elite leagues, the elite teams in England are exposed to bigger and better facilities, technically, psychologically, and how to win games and all of those little things like that. For those in South America, the talent pool is there. You cannot take anything away from them. But then again, for those in the elite leagues, they have different approaches, different mechanisms in which they've helped them improve how they manage their squad, manage their team, how they train and prepare for games. And I think the South American sides can have that too. It's going to be a big favor for them. Let's not look away the fact that finance has played a significant role. Some of the best rising stars in South America are being bought over in elite European leagues because the money is there. In South America, the pay is decent, but what you are getting in Europe is, of course, quite astronomical. And I think it has shown in this tournament. We saw Fluminense knock out, Inter Milan. Nobody expected that. We saw them beat, Al Hilal, who actually both players have played mostly in the elite leagues in Europe as well. Yeah. It showed you that the quality is in South America. We saw Flamengo beat Chelsea in the group phase by 3-1. The quality is there, but I think they have a lot of financial support and they get exposed to these high-level training facilities and exposure and technical level as well. They'll be at that space. They'll be at that space.
Yeah.
So far, so good. I think the South American teams, they did not disappoint, especially the Brazilian teams.
Yeah. That's true. Let's talk about the African teams. So Mamelodi Sundowns, so Al Ali and Esperance. They came, they played, they saw, and they went back home. Well, they played below expectation. No, would I even say below expectation? This is their standard. We weren't expecting much from the likes of Mamelodi Sundowns. I think they won one game, right? Sundowns won one game. They played. They always show that ginger, that competitiveness where they play against side, but that edge, that it's not there for.
I can't take anything away from Sundowns. Sundowns played a very good tournament. Honestly, they won their first game against Ulsan Hyundai. The game against Dortmund was a very unfortunate one where they lost, but they played well. They showed tenacity, and at that level, technical level, Dortmund just showed superiority as to that regard. But leaving that tournament with 4 points shows that they're a good side. Yeah. It shows that they're actually a good side. It is no no shocker that they are one of the best teams on the continent, on the African continent. Same with Al Ali as well, who a lot of persons expected better. A draw against Inter Miami, a draw against Porto, then losing one of their games in the group phases made sure they did not make it to the next round of the competition. So I look at them and I think they're impressed. For Esperance, I expected better from Esperance, but then their turnout was really, I think, they're the most disappointing of the lot. But for Al Ali and Mamelodi Sundowns, they were very good sides, and I'm really impressed with how they play. And it shows the African, the football on the continent needs a lot to improve. If your best teams can go out there and not make it beyond group phases, it shows that every other person out there is, not good enough. That's true. Honestly, that's exactly what I'm looking at.
On the bright side, I think the positive can pick from them. Their fans turned out. Imagine traveling all the way from Africa to the United States to show support. Mamelodi Sundowns, Al Ali, and even Esperance fans, they turned out in large numbers in the USA. So kudos to them. Now in the latter parts of the Champions League Club World Cup, Chelsea are through to the final.
To be fair, not a lot of
most persons wrote Chelsea off.
Not a lot of Chelsea, even Chelsea fans expected them to be in the finals because the group first game against Los Angeles, they won by 2-0. They lost their second game against Flamengo, and that was a wake-up call to them. A lot of persons were complaining, this team is not good enough. Look at the players you are blind, yada, this and that. And I think that was a turning point for the manager where he knew that he had to improve on this side. He had to make a lot of changes. He had to make sure that his team could compete at that level. And from them, they switched. They became better, and their run of games were excellent. It reminded me of when during the course of the season when they lost one of those games against Legia Warsaw at the bridge, and the fans turned on the manager. They were saying a lot of hurtful things, and I tell you, from there onward towards the end of the season, they turned a new leaf and they were winning games, except that game against Newcastle where Jackson got a red card and they lost by 2-0. But I'll tell you that it was a turning point. I think that is like a reality check. For the team and for a manager, and for teams to actually improve. It reminds me of when Conte lost to Arsenal, switched to a 3-4-3, turned over, won the league, and the managers actually need that sort of bounce to put them in a position where they can get the best out of their players.
The loss against Flamengo turned out to be a blessing in disguise, and Chelsea finished second, avoiding Bayern Munich, playing Benfica instead, and from there onward, they had an easy run to the final compared to playing teams like Manchester City.
The teams like Manchester City got knocked out by teams Chelsea knocked out.
Yeah. So, I mean, understand it, but let's say City playing against Chelsea, they'll bring a different mentality.
A different mentality to the game as well. So I get your point. But you cannot take away the fact that the teams Chelsea beat were the teams that beat those big teams.
Yeah, you're right.
That's it. So you only beat who is in front of you.
Yeah.
If Fluminense wasn't good enough, they will not be in the semi-finals. The big teams, they beat Al Hilal. Al Hilal, what did Al Hilal do? Al Hilal beat Manchester City. So it's a ladder. On top of that ladder, you knock out your opponent, you climb up again. So just, they should clap for themselves. They've done really well. But one thing I'm going to look at, I think they're going to, suffer fatigue because they've not really had that rest after the end of the season. They've gone to play the international tournament, and the league starts in like a month's time. So after the tournament, they'll probably have like 2 weeks of rest. Then they come back, start preparing for preseason.
But the good thing is that they've got a big squad.
They've got a big squad. For having a big squad means you have to, but whatever in a big squad, you have regulars, people who start, and the fatigue start telling on them, it affects the entire team. But then again, everyone has to come together to know that for this team, for you to command the shirt, you have to give it your very best. So I'll be looking at all of the squad players at Chelsea to know, hey, Once you get an opportunity, see this, just make something out of it.
Okay, back to the Club World Cup. The other side of the bracket had the likes of Real Madrid and PSG. Always saw PSG reaching the latter stage, and the only team standing before them right now is Real Madrid, the semi-final. How is this going to turn out?
It's going to be an exciting game. It's going to be a very good game. I'm looking forward to it. But I think PSG are still going to edge it. Why? Because the way they play now has been an idea that's become a reality for quite some time. The manager has been with them for almost over 2 seasons now, and his ideologies are being implemented. The players know exactly how he wants to play. They can be very dominant, and in games where they do not play well, they grind out results. We saw the game against Bayern where the better team for most part of the game, but PSG seized the opportunity and they scored 2 goals. The second goal came after they were reduced to 9 men. That shows you how good PSG are. For Real Madrid, the manager has come in and his approach and style has been welcome. The players are fitting in just fine, getting the result they want. But then again, I think it is going to be easy for PSG to find loopholes here and there. It's not an easy game, by the way. But the manager can actually look for where the players have not really brushed. The manager have not really brushed to actually accommodate the new pattern, new approach to these games. And PSG probably might just take advantage of that and just nick it. It is not a guarantee that PSG are going to win it, but I just think that they're like the favourites. Since they're the champions of Europe, and as a team they have more chemistry right now.
Of course, I see them as a favourite. So let's just see PSG, Chelsea in the final. What are we going to expect? João Pedro coming into the team after just a week from signing, he has been a revelation. We saw the 2 goals he scored against Fluminense. Absolute cracker. What are we going to expect from that team? The lab, and as it seems like right now, I think the lab has dropped in the pecking order. And Nicolas Jackson had to come off from the bench, and we're looking to have a cracker. How do you think Chelsea is going to line up against PSG?
I think the only changes Chelsea are going to make against the whoever they're playing the final is the PSG is James starting over Gusto, because of course the right didn't start was because of fitness issues, and I think if he's fit, he's starting that game. And another person that is going to be starting again is going to be Levi Colby, with Chalobah being taken off. So I see a Tosin Chalobah pairing because I think they complement each other very well, hot and cold. James starting right back, Cucurella left back. In midfield, of course, Enzo Caicedo, Palmer in front of them. Then Nkunku has had 2 really wonderful games. And the reason why he's playing this way is because he's not the front man where a lot is expected from him.
Exactly.
Where he has to be a lot physical and the rest of, but he's not a physical player. He has shown that he's not a physical player, and the role is being deployed is where he actually thrives at, where he can run, go into pocket spaces, receive the ball, go, create, attack and, make things work. And I think he's going to start in the final. I think Nkunku is going to start in the final. Neto is definitely going to start. He's had an excellent Club World Cup. Neto, Nkunku, and João Pedro starting. I think that is the only 2 changes from the last game are going to be James and Kobe replacing Chalobah and Gusto.
Yeah. So do you see Chelsea winning this?
It's not impossible.
It's possible.
It is not impossible.
The other day I was saying, on a lighter note, I was watching AFTV, and Robbie made a statement that if Chelsea wins the Club World Cup, are they going to be bigger than us now? It's a very funny statement.
Chelsea are already bigger than us. That's not what I want to argue. But then again, they have the international laurels to back it. And I was just reading this morning that whoever wins the FIFA Club World Cup will be wearing a gold badge for the next 4 years. Do you know how prideful that is?
And that's automatic qualification for the next Club World Cup, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, that's qualification for the next Club World Cup.
A gold badge.
You're going to the next tournament as defending champions. So it's going to be massive if Chelsea wins this thing. And it's going to be a very huge record because coming into the Premier League, nobody's going to charge Chelsea. We're the first team to win the new Club World Cup.
The new format.
The new format.
Amazing stuff.
And in Europe, that would be a bragging right.
And it's if you want to clown Chelsea, just remember Man City played this competition and they did not win it.
Yeah.
In case Chelsea wins it too.
Exactly. And we'll have teams like Real Madrid where in the same competition. Bayern,
PSG, Inter Milan,
So hopefully the guys deliver against PSG or Real Madrid, anyone that turns up at the final. So you've heard from Kygo, he thinks Chelsea is going to win it. So guys, drop your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See you in the next one. Cheers.